Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 530 News on KAJ, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Don Fisher. A nice sunny day out there today with highs in the 50s, but those conditions are likely to worsen as we make it through the week with some rain and even some snow possible. For more on that, let's take it over to meteorologist Russ Thomas for his first forecast. Russ?
Not going to lie, Don, while you're correct on that, I'm going to focus on today right now. And the reason why, it has been beautiful. It took a while in some areas for the fog to lift. In fact, a little longer than expected. However, it did, and we had blue skies across just about all of western Montana. Maybe a few wispy clouds out there, and that is it. And our temperatures have responded nicely, certainly warmer than what we saw this weekend with the clouds and the showers. In fact, we're at 56 in Kalispell, 53 right now in Missoula, and generally, look at this across the state. All locations listed here are in the 50s, ranging from low to upper. Now, we will talk more about those changes coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Russ. A new collision analysis of Montana intersection shows that Kalispell is one of the safer major Montana cities for drivers, with only one intersection cracking the top 50 for crashes. Ranking number 44 is the intersection of U.S. Highway 2 West and U.S. Highway 93 North, accounting for 18 crashes between 2014 and 2016. Compare that to the leader, North Reserve and Mullen Road in Missoula, which had 121 crashes during that time. In fact, the top 5 intersections on the list were all in Missoula. The study was compiled by the Insurance Agency for Highway Safety, sorting about 67,000 crashes in that 2-year span, with 163 intersections being ranked altogether. Missoula, Billings, Great Falls, and Helena all had more intersections listed than Kalispell. The Summer School District has been in a journey for about a year and a half, seeking accreditation by one of the leading accrediting agencies in the world, and this week they're taking a step closer to that goal. Within the next 3 months, the district hopes for accreditation of both the middle and elementary school by an organization known as Advance ED. The accreditation is a process by which individual schools or districts are certified as achieving minimum standards of quality. They are 31 performance standards that are important in the success of a school or district, and they're grouped in 3 categories: leadership, learning, and resources. This week, the district is hosting a team of 5 reviewers from Advanced. The lead evaluator says that they will be comparing the district to see how they fit into the performance standards. He says the process takes a lot of time.
It's a mark of distinction because accreditation is a difficult process. It's a rigorous process for schools and districts to go through, but it's voluntary in most states, but it's just a sign of distinction.
If the district does receive this accreditation, it will last for 5 years. The Evergreen and West Valley school districts are also in the process of seeking similar accreditation. And the Glacier National Park Conservancy has reached their fundraising goal to help preserve what's left of the Sperry Chalet and protect it from the elements this winter. After it was hit by the Sprague Fire in late August, a fund was set up to cover the immediate costs and future plans for the area. Just over a month later, the Conservancy held its annual Give Back to Glacier Week, surpassing this year's goal by raising about $110,000. Those funds will be used to evaluate what parts of the structure can be saved and also to stabilize it before winter comes and could do any more possible damage to the structure. Police are investigating a robbery that happened near the Montana State University campus this morning. The Bozeman police say 3 suspects robbed a victim at the intersection of South 15th Avenue and West College Street around 8 a.m. At least one of the suspects was armed with a firearm and mace. 2 of the suspects are in custody, but one fled on foot and is still being sought. A preliminary investigation revealed that the victim may have known the suspects. MSU issued a warning to students Monday morning about the incident, which still remains under investigation. And lawmakers and executives gathered on campus today to talk about Montana's evolving economy. High-tech jobs were touted as the future of Montana's economic growth. There are challenges to building a high-tech industry in rival Montana, including building infrastructures and local partnerships. Montana Republican Senator Steve Daines says creating policies and incentives in Congress and fast-tracking the process of building infrastructure across public and private sectors is crucial to bringing high-tech jobs to Montana. Speakers of the High-Tech Summit say that creating partnerships with local governments and organizations is critical to making sure everyone has access to reliable, high-speed internet. Lawmakers and business owners talked about how increasing broadband capabilities can also increase jobs in Montana.
Over 60% of rural Montanans don't have access to broadband. 65% of Indian country do not have access to broadband. We've got to bridge that connectivity divide.
And in spite of these challenges, Dane says the high-tech industry has the potential to transform Montana businesses and create new jobs. In national news, fire crews from all over California are heading to Northern California to help put out at least 14 major wildfires in 8 counties. Danielle Nottingham has the latest from Napa, California's wine country, where at least a half-dozen fires erupted overnight without warning.
As wildfires roar in Northern California, people are scrambling to save their homes.
How are you feeling? Panic-stricken. It's just so scary.
There's not much left of this Sonoma County neighborhood after a wildfire tore through. This man had just enough time to rescue a picture of his grandparents before fleeing his home in Santa Rosa.
The fire just jumped. It jumped, and one house would go, and then another one, and the embers and the wind was the difference.
Nearby, crews evacuated hundreds of patients to safety from 2 hospitals early this morning. The fire started in several locations overnight in Napa County and here in Sonoma County. And right behind me, you can see fire is still ravaging the Hilton Hotel, which is now just a pile of rubble. Gusts of up to 70 miles an hour are fanning the flames. High temperatures and low humidity are all adding up to perfect conditions for wildfires.
There were separate fires that started. The cause is all under investigation, so I have no idea what caused these fires at this point.
In Napa, residents also scrambled to safety with little warning.
The fireman was right there. He said, "You have to go right now." So we went with what we had, and we took the dog, and that's it.
Fire officials say with the fire moving so fast, crews are saving lives first before homes and businesses.
Very conservative estimates are that over 1,500 homes and commercial facilities have been destroyed.
State officials say it's all hands on deck to put the fires out. Danielle Nottingham, CBS News, Santa Rosa, California.
And it has been confirmed that at least 1 person has died so far during the fires, and those officials say that at least 20,000 people have been evacuated. And while some celebrate Columbus Day, some took a different stance to the controversial holiday by defacing Christopher Columbus statues across the country. CBS's Jennifer Lee reports from New Haven, Connecticut.
Crews got to work in Middletown's Harbor Park, spraying down the Christopher Columbus statue from head to toe after it had been defaced. And over in New Haven, a picture taken this morning of another statue sloshed with red paint. By nightfall, police keeping watch at Wooster Square.
There is a big police presence here. So to see that happened is kind of surprising, but hopefully no more happens.
Keith Pratt says police asked him to also stand guard tonight. He's a member of the Guardian Angels, a neighborhood volunteer crime-fighting group.
It's a landmark that's been in this neighborhood for many, many years. People have problems, call your local politician, do a letter writing campaign, sign a petition, to have the statue removed if you don't like it. It's still a statue that represents something. And there's a right way and a wrong way to go about it.
Christopher Columbus statues have been defaced across the country. The controversy stemming from the history behind Columbus's discovery of America and his treatment of indigenous people. Hundreds of people sharing their views on the Channel 3 Facebook page. Sally Ann Bailey says, quote, "I say leave it alone. Why the rush to change history? If it has to be changed to be politically correct, then call it Discovery Day, and we celebrate the way we see fit." Pat Jones comments, quote, "Change to Indigenous Peoples Day. You can't discover a country that's already inhabited. Time to get this straight." And finally, Joan Tinker weighs in by saying, quote, "I will continue to celebrate Columbus Day. Happy Columbus Day." Both New Haven and Middletown police say they are investigating the vandalism and hope it doesn't happen again.
He was kind of the person that kind of brought this place onto the map. Not the greatest guy in the world. But at the end of the day, I don't personally believe defacing these statues is appropriate.
In another national news, President Trump made immigration reform a centerpiece of his election campaign. And on Sunday, he sent a letter to Congress outlining his 70-point immigration plan, explaining what he wants to see in any deal to protect the so-called dreamers from deportation. Weijia Zhang has more details from the White House.
President Trump is taking a hardline stance on DACA recipients. Sunday, President Trump told Congress any deal to protect the so-called dreamers must include full funding of his wall, a crackdown on sanctuary cities, a merit-based immigration system, and faster deportations. Democrats met with President Trump last month and were close to a deal to allow the people who were brought to the U.S. illegally as children to stay and work. In a joint statement, Senator Chuck Schumer and Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi said funding for the wall was explicitly ruled out of negotiations. Senior White House advisor Kellyanne Conway delivered a message to the Dreamers on Fox and Friends this morning.
They should actually be calling their friends Chuck and Nancy to say, you know, are you going to give up this deal because you don't want to, why don't you want a border wall constructed?
Gracer Martinez Rosas came to the U.S. when she was 7. She says she wants Congress to pass the DREAM Act without any conditions.
If Donald Trump is serious about protecting and fixing the mess that he created when he ended the DACA program, that he has to get serious about what a real solution and a real compromise would be, and this is not it.
There are an estimated 800,000 DACA recipients who will be closely watching the debate on Capitol Hill. Weijia Zhang, CBS News, the White House.
Building a wall along the U.S.-Mexican border is projected to cost $25 billion. And coming up later, Russ Thomas will be back with your work week forecast. And next, a new startup is promising to lower those student loan payments by finding the best refinancing option. That and more coming up on KAJ.